I haven't made videos past days, though to me being occupied with some other stuff, but nevertheless, I will keep making videos for you. Don't worry about that, because I want you to be edified. And in this video here, I want to talk about your armor. In the book of Ephesians, Paul spoke about putting on the armor of God, which is symbolic for walking in the power of the Holy Spirit. And walking in the power of the Holy Spirit also includes having holy angelic beings around you as your guards, similar to what you see here on this picture. This picture is just a drawing, but realize this is what many believers have. Many believers are not aware of it, but they have a strong force of armed holy angelic beings around them. They can't see them. Those holy angelic beings are not permitted by the Lord to communicate with the believer. But those heavenly guards are there. And demons see them. And from time to time, even commoners see them. But when commoners see them, commoners know, whoa, what's going on there? Why is this individual so important? You don't see it. You're not supposed to see it. It's meant for others to see them. Look, it's the same as you have this multi-billionaire and he has little children and he doesn't want little children to live in a prison because of the envy of others. So the multi-billionaire hires FBI agents to look after the children. And the children are not supposed to be bothered by the presence of the guards. The children are supposed to be free and happy. That's why those guards were paid well by the multi-billionaire. They look after the children. Anytime a child molester comes near, bang, shut down. Or anytime there are people trying to kidnap one of the kids, trouble. That's just a cheap comparison. But you get the idea. When you walk by faith, automatically there are holy angelic beings assigned to you. And they're there to stay. I don't know whether there are shifts that some return to heaven and then others come in their place. Just realize that you have your defense. Now, those holy angelic beings are also there to prevent accidents, because most accidents, or better said, all accidents are paranormally triggered. Let's go like that. They're paranormally triggered. Accidents, the words suggest that just bad things that just happen, unfortunate things. There's no such thing. All accidents are paranormally triggered. So those holy angelic beings are also there to battle paranormally triggered or paranormally caused incidents. So when you walk in the power, realize one thing. A lot of people will lose interest in you. Straight up. Now you may think, okay, Rashid, why would anyone lose interest in me if I have real safety around me? Who in the right mind would not want to have real safety? Isn't it logical that you would prefer to be around someone who is completely safe? Yes, that's true. That's natural. Just realize that you have a lot of people out there who are negative minded. They don't want any solutions. They just want to be relieved. And they want to exploit safe people to bail themselves out of the negative consequences of their own negative wills. They have no interest. That means literally zero interest in participating in solutions. They just want to be relieved. That's the only thing they are concerned about. They're not concerned about anything nor anyone else unless those other people contribute to their relief seeking. You have such sick-minded people out there. They also want safety. Safety so they don't have to face the consequences of the self-destruction. So what happens? When you walk in the power, when you have real, true safety around you, those people who just want to take advantage of your safety, they sooner or later will face a confrontation with the heavenly guards that are around you. Whether they literally see them staring at them, or whether those heavenly guards push them away from you, whatever it is, they will be confronted with the fact that they are not allowed nor permitted to come close to you with their danger. So then there are two options. Either they self-reflect and realize that they are corrupt and that they need deliverance. If that happens, then that's a win-win situation. If they refuse because they persist in relief seeking, they'll just walk away. They'll become upset with you, that they can't have their way with you, and they'll just leave. Now, that's an extreme example, but let's say now that, for example, I've been through this. Let's say that people find out, in my case, that I am an author or a novelist, someone that writes short novels. I published several already, some being processed by Amazon at the moment. I had that people found out about my published books and they stopped talking to me altogether. I did not brag, I did not act arrogant, they just found out and they suddenly stopped communicating completely. What's going on? Some of you may experience something similar. It may be that you start your own business, it may be that you recently got married, or it may be that you just got a child. Whatever it is, whatever success or prosperity you're walking in, you probably have experienced people stop talking to you and completely avoiding you as if you never existed. Why is that? I'm going to tell you why. The moment you reach any level or any stage of prosperity that people did not associate with you, that implies that their expectations need to be altered. First of all, why did they expect you to remain in a certain condition? Why? The reason is because they're self-centered. Either you are on the same level as they are, or you are worse than they are, because then they feel secure, then they feel safe. Why? Because they have no self-worth, so their self-worth comes from comparing themselves with others. So when you were on a similar level as they are, or you were worse than they are, or the better they perceived you to be worse than they, then they were at ease. They got narcissistic supply by being around you because they compared themselves with you, and because in their perception you were worse off than they were, they felt at ease with their condition, even though their condition wasn't good at all. Now that your glory has manifested, it's not just cheap talk, something really manifests on your behalf that can't be undone. So now they have to deal with your glory, and now they're also confronted with their own toxic way of thinking. They don't want this, because letting go of their toxic way of thinking means that they need to reflect on everything. They don't want to go there. But to change how they treat you would also cost them, because if they perceive you a certain way and they've talked about you a certain way and they defended bad ways of thinking concerning you to other people, and now they treat you in a different way, those other people are going to remind them how bad they've talked about you, and now they need to explain themselves, and they can't. Because if they have to explain themselves, they need to also reveal that they are cowards. They don't want to go there. But also when they begin to suck up to you, as they would say in street language, what happens then is that every time they see you, they're confronted with their own inconsistency. And this cognitive dissonance is quite painful mentally. They don't want to go through this. So when there is no when there is no option to sabotage nor to bring you down, the only thing that's left for them is to leave. Because for them to remain around you would only remind them of their own misery that they don't seek a solution for. So that's also operating in your defense. Well, operating in the power. When you operate in the power of the Holy Spirit, you automatically operate in your defense. You're not into self-defense because you're not defending yourself. You operate in the defense that the Holy Spirit put around you. And when you do this, again, a lot of folks will just lose all interest into you altogether. Why? Because, okay, let me give another example. This may sound a bit extreme, but extreme examples are quite effective in teaching stuff. Let's say now you have a guy called Roger, and Roger has a saving account with £20,000 on it. He's from Britain, so they use pounds over there. Roger now has a girlfriend whom he plans to marry and be together with. 2 days before the wedding, she broke the engagement and left. So Roger was thinking, what? Why did she leave? We were about to spend our lives together. We were planning names for our children and all of that. Why did she leave? And Roger didn't really realize what was going on. Now I'm going to give you some background story of why the fiancée left. Roger had £20,000 on his savings account, right? But here's another thing Roger had. Roger had several friends who were associated with the military and with the banking system, and they had access to Roger's data. And those friends of Roger, who were in the favor of Roger, also checked the data of this fiancé of his. And they realized that this woman had much debt. She was around £40,000 in debt. She was also involved with people that use drugs and all of that. So when they checked the picture, they realized, hold on a minute. So you have this quote-unquote hood rat, as they say in the streets, suddenly getting involved with this decent man, Roger. And this Roger has plans for the future. He wants to build assets and all of it. And this woman knew Roger for years. They went to the same high school together. During all that time, she had no interest in Roger whatsoever. Now that her bad choices and her lifestyle is catching up with her, now that she has people coming after her because she owes them money, or now that bailiffs are haunting her because she doesn't pay her bills, suddenly she became madly in love with Roger. So those friends who were associated with the military, those at the military were aware of the gangs in the streets, and those at the bank they had access to the financial data of people. They were now thinking, hold on a minute. This situation is not right. This Roger is being scammed. This chick only wants to use Roger's savings account to bail herself out. Because those friends came together and they saw immediately what's going on. They saw that this woman only wanted to marry Roger to get access to his account, and then after a month or two, she would just leave with all the money and Roger would never hear from her again. So, what happened? Those friends, both from the military as well as those in the banking sector, they sent some warnings to this woman to leave. And those from the military even knocked on the door telling her that they know what she's up to and that if she doesn't stop, they will be the ones taking actions against her. And you know how military people can be. They don't make any jokes. They're quite serious. But also, the friends of this woman, as well as her relatives, who were enabling her plot against Roger, they also received visits and emails. So now, the friends of Roger, they began to trouble those who were troubling Roger. And because they were so effective, eventually, the friends and relatives of this woman told her, leave this Roger alone. Break off the engagement. What you're doing is going to cost us everything. So, she just left. She couldn't explain why she broke the engagement. She couldn't. Because if she would had to explain why, she would be exposing herself as a criminal and as a scammer. And by doing that, Roger now could hand her over to the authorities and she and others would go to jail. So she just left because she didn't want any consequence. Now I know this was an extreme example. Just realize you will have people that will lose all interest in you because they see that if they remain around you with the attitude they have towards you, that attitude of theirs is going to destroy them and it's going to humiliate and embarrass them openly. And there will not be any way for them to get rid of the embarrassment and the humiliation once it happens. And because they're terrified of this humiliation and this embarrassment, or better said, this exposure, they flee from you. Even if they had issues against you, they will drop all the issues because they know that if they want to win those battles, they will lose the war. Some are so suicidal and they'll destroy themselves coming against you, but that's on them. So, believer, when you encounter people losing all interest in you just like that, out of the blue, you know now what's going on. It has nothing to do with any evil, nor fault, nor defect on your behalf. Now you see who people really are. Let's say you have a shop, okay? And at the shop, you have this security guard with this big gun. Do you really think that robbers will come to that shop? No, they wouldn't. Because anytime they would come to that shop, well, that security guard was well trained by the military. He knows what to do. And those robbers see clearly that they can lose their lives. So they won't even try to rob that shop. But let's say you have that same shop and there's no security guard and it's not even an effective alarm system. Now, robbers think, okay, there's no security guard, there are no armed people over there, we have a chance. And indeed, they have a chance. And now they will take the chance. So now they often come to that shop just to look what the shop has. They come often, they buy candy over there, not because they're really interested in candy, because they throw the candy away, but they spend the money there on things they don't want. Why? Because they intend to rob the whole place. So the only reason they come to that shop and spend money over there is not because they like the shop owner, nor because they like what they're buying. They're only investing in the robbery that they will do later on. And that's how a lot of people are. They will be kind to you, nice, well-mannered. They'll be all of that, not because they really like you, not because they really support you, not because they are in agreement with you, but because of the exploitation they intend to do later on. And they will only invest in their exploitation. So anything they give you or do for you is not really for you. It's only to get a hold on you so that later, when they completely rob you, you will not be aware of it. And that is what Satan does. Satan will come and give you some quote-unquote gifts. For example, Satan will come and he will give you 10 euros, or in American currency, dollars. When Satan gives you $10, let's say you were broke, you think, oh, I'm happy, I got $10. But it can be that some insurance company has to pay you $100,000 very soon because you have an aunt that passed away, and due to a life insurance, you are now entitled to $100,000. You're not aware of it because that aunt passed away years ago. Satan knows, and Satan doesn't want you to get hands on that $100,000. So he gives you $10 to distract you while he's robbing you from the 100,000. That's how Satan works. He never really gives you anything. He only uses some crumbs to get access to you, to later drain you completely and make you completely dependent on his mercy. Let me give a practical example. It can be that you, and this often happens, and oftentimes people don't realize it, it can be that you are at the gym and suddenly you have this individual from the opposite sex. Let's say you're a man, Kevin, and you have this Lisa that says hi to you at the gym. You think, okay, it's a gym, a lot of people come to the gym, so you say hi back. 2 weeks later, she spent the night at your place, and another month after that, you're engaged, and then another month later, you're in a wedlock together. So it went very fast. And you don't even realize, hold on a minute. I only met this individual around 3 months ago when I was at the gym. I didn't even know that this individual existed. And now 3 months later, I'm in a lifelong commitment, and she has this leverage over me financially and with the legal system. She has access to all my assets, to all my saving accounts, and she's using them. So now you think, how does this happen just like that? And then you realize that it is as if your life was taken over suddenly. And it happened. That individual was sent by the enemy to distract you. And now that you are in a wedlock with them, sooner or later that individual will quote unquote fall out of love, so they suddenly are not interested in you anymore, and they are going to ask themselves why they are here with you. Now they want a divorce, and when you are divorcing, she will get most of the assets you've worked for your whole life. And she will use those assets to spend on other guys who didn't work for them. So what happened there? When you had this magical connection, quote unquote falling in love, it was not a good thing. It was not from God. It was Satan at work to rob you. Because the assets you've built, you intended to invest them in your community. And if you would have invested them in your community, many would have been blessed. Many would have been delivered because of it. So now Satan didn't want the deliverance of those people to happen. And Satan saw that your investment, your future investment in the community would be a blessing to many. So Satan wanted to withhold that blessing from those people that would be affected by you. And the way Satan did it, it was by robbing you of your assets. So Satan wanted to rob you in such a way that you would comply with what was going on without you being aware of it. If Satan would have sent internet scammers, you would have noticed it. If he would have sent armed robbers, it would have failed. So he sent a woman into your life. Just the type of woman you've been conditioned to fall for. And by doing that, you complied with the scam, not being aware it was a scam to begin with. It can be that you move to a new place and you suddenly, not suddenly, but eventually you may contact people over there with the locals and you're accepted into the community. It is as if you've known those people for decades. You're really accepted, and those people have no negative intentions. They really genuinely accepted you. And you think, whoa, these people genuinely accepted me. That's a good thing. And it's a good thing when people accept you. There's nothing wrong with that in itself. But in this case, look at the context. You were a stranger just a few weeks ago. Now they fully accepted you. And they can't even explain themselves. They can't even explain to themselves why they accepted you so easily. While those people are not naturally, but they are people, they are an introverted community. Yet this introverted community fully accepted you even though you are different from them. So the context doesn't add up. Why doesn't introverted people who has neophobia, so they're afraid of newness, afraid of change, why they accept you, who's different from them, into their midst? Why are they, who are against change, against otherness, so okay with some other amongst them? You can see that the context doesn't add up. So then later you find out that because you felt accepted by those people, you began to trust them, and because those people couldn't keep their mouths shut, criminals found out about your prosperity and your endeavors. So now you have a whole gang of criminals after you and you're not even aware of it. So the acceptance by those people was a trap. Let's say now you move somewhere and you walk in the power of the Holy Spirit. You will encounter power circuits, so clashes between you and the locals, so you don't get along. And that is because you have your guards around you. That is because you have your energy field also that's thicker than theirs. And because of that, their negative tensions can't affect you. It bounces off. So then it may appear as if you are in a bad situation, but that's not true at all. That's why we ought to walk by faith and not by sight. You can be deceived and scammed when you walk by sight. But when you walk by faith, sooner or later, often sooner, you'll see true stuff. Well, this video is almost a half hour. I don't want to make it too long. Just realize that walking by faith, so when you walk in the power, will cause many people to lose all interest in you. When it happens, never take it personally, because it has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with you. So it shouldn't be your concern that they've turned away. They turn away because they can't get away with the narcissistic tendencies around you. With you, it will cost them. That's why they leave. And because you walk in the power, and they have experienced repercussions, they will not hoover you. Because even if they try to hoover you, that will backfire also. So praise the Lord for all those that lost interest in you. Be at peace.